Have you ever felt like your business is on the rocks? Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, and today's idiom is, of course, on the rocks. On the rocks meaning financially ruined or wrecked, destined to failure, near disaster, finished. Well, on the rocks is an idiom that, of course, came from the time when ships still float, right? But if they run aground and they hit the rocks, they're usually destined to sink. It's just a matter of time before the ship will sink. And oftentimes it has meant that you're in a situation, you're having an experience where you know the end is near, you know it's going to fail. And a lot of times that's up to us deciding if something's going to fail or not. Not always. You know, I was married for 25 years and I'm now divorced. And if I'm honest, I knew very close to the beginning of my marriage that, you know, compared to the extent and the length of my marriage, that it was going in the wrong direction. It wasn't the right fit for me. It wasn't the right situation. And it was just a matter of time. And there's a lot of things that happen, especially in a 25-year experience, that could go either way, right? It wasn't like it was all rocky, but there were definite signs that we were not destined to be together forever. It wasn't, you know, my soulmate and the love of my life. But we can also find ourselves in our businesses especially. So it's not only with relationships that they can be on the rocks. I mean, who hasn't had a relationship that was destined to fail? Did you fall in love and that once and that was your lifelong experience? For some people, yes, that did happen. For others, no, we dated a few people, then we found the person that we thought was the one, we got married, and maybe it did or didn't work out. Same thing with our businesses. Have you had more than one job or career or work experience in your life? Is this the first business that you've ever started and run, or is it maybe your 20th business that you've started and run? And what happened in those previous businesses that you're no longer involved in? And this on the rocks got me to thinking about the past business experiences that I have had, the past jobs and things that I've had, the past relationships that I've had, and when did I know that it wasn't a fit for me? And usually it goes pretty quickly from the time you actually realize and consciously are aware that, hey, this isn't working out for me, this isn't the right fit, and the actual time that you're done with the business, you're done with the relationship, that it is on the rocks. Now, of course, another definition of on the rocks is beverages on the rocks. And I am one of those people, as I've gotten older, have to actually drink my wine on the rocks. That's a very different meaning than, but it also means diluting something to make it easier to swallow, right? If you're putting your I don't know, I can't even think of what do people drink, your whiskey on the rocks, it dilutes it so it's easier to swallow. It's kind of like another really good definition of on the rocks that I didn't even think about till I started talking about it. So have you ever felt like your business was on the rocks? I will tell you, in my 37 years of running an Italian food manufacturing business, of course it didn't go from zero to deca millions overnight. It took years and years of working. And there were ups and downs. There were times when I thought, do I want to do this anymore? Is this destined to fail? Am I in the right business? Am I doing what I love to do? Am I doing what I even want to do? And when you're questioning and asking yourself those questions, you know, you can go either way. You can decide, no, this isn't the right business for me. And I've done that. I've shut down businesses or gotten myself out of businesses that just weren't a right fit. What I had to do to make those businesses successful. We always know what we need to do to make a business successful, but if we're finding that we don't want to do those things, it's not that there's anything wrong with the business, and it's not like there's anything wrong with us. It just means there isn't a good fit between the business that we're in and trying to build and grow and supersize, and our personal values and goals and mission and principles and what we want, our vision for what we want our life to be. And when we realize that, again, we can go either way. We can figure out ways to pivot and change and make that business the right fit for us and create it in a way that fits exactly for us and does match our vision of what we want to do, what we want to be, what we want to have in our life. Or we can say, this isn't the right fit for me. I'm going to let somebody else run with this, and I'm going to switch, and I'm going to define and figure out what it is that's really right for me. I've done that several times in my life and my career, sometimes of my own choosing, sometimes not of my own choosing. But if I look back and I really think about it, it was always of my own choosing. Even if I got fired, it was because I knew and they knew it wasn't a right fit for me. And we both always knew that. But sometimes it's more painful when somebody else makes the decision for you than if you make the decision yourself. So I'd love to know your experience with on the rocks. I guess my question for you would be, Do you know that you always know when something isn't right for you and it's time to change? We always know based on the results we're getting. If our results don't feel right to us and don't feel good to us, then something needs to change. It's always an indication that something needs to change. And just because something's on the rocks doesn't mean it's destined to fail. Just because you stop and choose to change your business or get involved in a different business or a different career or a different way of showing up in your life, it doesn't mean it's a failure. There's really no failure as long as you keep going, right? Financially ruined, you know, have many of us lost all of our money and then regained it? Most of them very successful billionaires and people that we know and whose stories we follow and we look up to and admire, they have gone through these cycles of boom and bust, and then boom, right? It's never this straight line to success. As much as anybody would like to tell you that, if you dig into and look into their story, it's always been walking before they could run. You know, some trials and errors before they found the thing that really worked for them and they exploded successfully. Think about when you're learning to walk. I say, and people, they're like, what do you mean by that? I say anybody that's reached about 1.5 years, 2 years old has already had thousands of failures in their life, right? As well as incidentally and not coincidentally, thousands of successes in their life. Why? Because anybody that's learned to walk, and most of us by the time we're 2 years old have learned to walk, but we didn't do it the first time. We didn't just decide as a baby, we're crawling around, hey, we're just gonna get up and walk. Maybe with the exception of my son who did that. He never crawled, he just went from being a baby to walking, which was mind-blowing to me. And he didn't even walk really, he just ran, because he knew if he had momentum going, he would keep going and keep upright, but if he stopped, he'd fall. And so even he, who almost walked immediately from baby to walking, had thousands and thousands of trials and errors because he fell down and he had to get back up again. Every time we fall down, as long as we get up again, we will achieve our goal, we will be successful. So you've tried thousands of times to learn to walk and you've failed thousands of times in terms of that you fell, but you got up again and you kept moving. That's the key to success in anything. That's the key to getting off the rocks, is making sure that you always get up and go again. That's it. Have an amazing day. I will be with you again, of course, tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? And how might you apply it to your businesses right now? If you're having problems, if you feel like due to COVID-19 or any other reason your business is on the rocks, hit me up in the comments below and we'll have a quick chat about it, because it's entirely up to you whether your business stays on the rocks or whether you get it off the rocks or not, or whether you choose to do something different entirely with your life. All right, have an awesome day, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow. Bye. I'm going to enjoy some rocks.